Hi guys, Sci-Fi Recapped here. Before we start, warning. Spoilers ahead. Today, I'm gonna explain a 2013 Australian post-apocalyptic science fiction and thriller movie called These Final Hours. The movie begins with asteroids that have just landed in the North Atlantic and kick off a firestorm of destruction that has already taken out huge chunks of the civilized world, leaving approximately 12 hours before the next firestorm reaches Western Australia. The scene moves to Perth where James and his girlfriend, Zoe, are enjoying their final hours in the beach house. But the moment of happiness doesn't last long as Zoe reveals that she is pregnant, which makes James upset and angry. He berates Zoe for sharing that good news because there is no way they could spend time together with their upcoming child. Feeling frustrated and wishing to forget everything in his final hours, James leaves his girlfriend alone to go to the party, even after Zoe begs him to stay. On his way, the man on the radio states the eastern coastline of America has been affected and all Western Europe has been destroyed by the firestorm. He also states that the firestorm is currently coming towards the nation, which makes things worse. Driving through a montage of chaos where people start getting crazy and killing each other, James suddenly is confronted by a madman equipped with a blade. After several moments of conversation, the madman randomly gets out of the car and stabs innocent people. James then uses the opportunity to escape and run away. He manages to dodge the man by hiding at the bottom of a car. Unfortunately, while running away from him, James gets his arm hurt by a nail. He postpones his plan to head off to the party after seeing a little girl who has been abducted by a couple of depraved weirdos. He plans to steal the car, but when he hears the girl keep screaming, he decides to break into the house and attempts to help the girl, despite his insistence that he no longer cares about anything. Equipped himself with a hammer, he manages to kill both of them and rescue the girl, who later introduces herself as Rose. She explains that she was separated from her father in Malaga, a suburb of Perth, while on their way to her aunt's house, and urges James to take her there. He then decides to bring the girl to Malaga, but it seems like her dad has gone away, leaving his car there. Rose grabs a picture of her dad from the car and shows it to James. While asked about her mom, she says that her mom has died. On the other side, someone on the radio claims that they still have 10 hours left. Continuing his journey to the party, James stops at his sister's house, hoping to drop Rose there. They arrive at James's sister's house, but no one is answering the door. He decides to break into the house through the back door, only to find out that his sister and her husband have committed suicide in the shower and discover 3 crosses marking that appears to be his sister's kids' graves. Realizing that he is unable to reunite Rose with her father, James decides to steal his sister's car, which almost runs out of gas, and take her along to the party in hopes of finding someone there who can take her to her family. On their way, Rose offers James a piece of cloth to stop his arm from bleeding. Suddenly, they spot a police car stopping by and decide to approach the man. James asks the man whether he can leave Rose with them because he is a policeman. The man refuses and tells James that he has given up on life, begging and ordering James to kill him with his family instead. James refuses and leaves with Rose. The policeman finally decides to do it himself. Both of them finally arrive at the party, which turns out to be Freddie, James's friend. Wild party. The party is overflowing with people, even Russian roulette is played there. People getting killed is a normal thing there, they don't even feel scared or sad after one of the guys shoots himself in the roulette game, instead they are celebrating. James eventually meets the party owner, whose sister is James's other girlfriend. Seeing the party has gone wild, Rose is noticeably uncomfortable and urges James to leave. He finally meets Vicky and goes to a room with her, telling Rose to play alone in the pool. Vicky forces James to have fun with her, but James seems to be not in the mood because he just saw his sister die. She even offers him to consume some drugs, but James refuses. After that, she shows a bunker that was built underneath Freddie's garage, which she claims can protect them from the apocalypse. James says that everyone, including him, Vicky, and Freddie will die because the bunker will not work as it is not deep enough and does not have sufficient food stocks. That statement disappoints Vicky and turns her into a mad woman, claiming that she doesn't want to die and forces James to kiss her. Suddenly Freddie comes into the bunker, just only to heathen up the situation there. He insists that the bunker will save them from the firestorm while James keeps telling him to stop talking nonsense. At the pool, Rose is approached by a mad woman who wants her to replace her vanished daughter. Rose is also forced to consume an ecstasy pill. At first she refuses to do so, but when the mad woman claims that she can take her to her aunt's house, Rose finally takes the pill, which makes her hallucinate and dizzy. James gets back to the party, where he finds Rose is vomiting at the corner of the hall with the madwoman leaning over her. She is in a very bad condition after taking that pill. When James tries to leave the party with Rose, the madwoman starts screaming, saying that James is trying to kidnap her kid. Suddenly Freddy appears and aims his gun at James, telling him to put Rose down. But then Vicky calmly takes the gun from Freddy and shoots the mad woman to death, telling James to go away. Rose's condition is getting worse and James decides to bring her to his estranged mother's house. After a long walk, James manages to steal a cab and drives it away. James treats Rose like she is his daughter as he lays her down on a bed and rests there. As she recovers, we can see that the relationship between James and his mom is not that great. Later, she asks James whether he has been hearing about his sister's condition, but James lies, not telling his mother that she is dead. His mother reveals that she visited James' sister a while ago but no one answered the door, not even the girls, claiming that James' sister was very selfish for not allowing her to see her own grandkids and blaming James' sister's husband for that. When asked how she is going to spend her last hours, James's mom states that she is just going to finish her jigsaw puzzles. James decides to continue his plan to take Rose to her family. His mom gives James some petrol she kept in the garage. Before leaving, James says his final words and goodbye to his mom, holding her hand for the last time. On the journey, the same man from the radio states that Southeast Asia is completely gone, indicating that it will only take several hours for the firestorm before it reaches Australia. Long story short, both of them finally arrive at Rose's aunt's house. Upon arrival, Rose is very excited because finally she is able to meet his father. But, nobody seems to be home as they have explored the whole house and cannot find anyone. While walking towards the garden, James manages to find Rose's whole family, including her father, but only their dead body. Although hysterical at the news of her father's death, Rose insists on seeing him. James calms her down and eventually allows her to see her father's dead body. James covers Rose's father with a cloth, brings him to Rose, and lays him by the pond. When James asks her to go with him, Rose insists that she wants to be on her father's side until the end, saying that her dad wants them to be together when it happens. James then confides in Rose about his relationship with Zoe and her pregnancy, which leads him to realize his love for her. Rose convinces him to make amends with her while there is still enough time. He accepts her advice, and the two share an emotional farewell before they split ways. James then drives away, leaving Rose alone in her aunt's house. Unfortunately, the cab overheats and explodes on the highway as the firestorm approaches, forcing James to run the rest of the way. Eventually, he arrives at the beach house on time, but can't find Zoe in there while the storm is getting closer. He runs out and manages to find Zoe on the beach, watching the approaching firestorm. At first, she is very mad at James and not allowing him to get closer. However, James apologizes for what he had done and the two quickly reconcile and confess their love for the last time. The pair then embrace and turn towards the ocean as they are killed by the firestorm. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.